Joining us now on the Deseret First Credit Union hotline is former BYU basketball head coach, friend of the program, Steve Cleveland.
He's got all the answers.
Yes,
on how to
he
beat
does.
Gonzaga. Yes.
And we're going to get some of those right now. All right, Coach, we would love for you to give us the secret or reveal how BYU beats a top 5 team like Gonzaga tonight. Where does it begin for the Cougars?
Well, I think one of the things you just mentioned is that they have to have a really a mindset of just being physical. There has to be a physicality. They have to be aggressive. They can't be on their heels. I mean, that's your mindset to start with. And I think the fact that they're coming to this game after beating St. Mary's and having 14 assists, 2 turnovers, and 8 steals, and playing well will bode well as they prepare and get ready for the Zags. But the other thing is that defensively is a huge key. And they can't get beat off the dribble. They have to block out. They have to rebound, everybody, guards included. The most debilitating thing is when a visiting team comes in and shoots threes and they get second and third chances because guards don't block out. So you have that toughness. You've got to rebound the ball. And then if they can do like they did against St. Mary's, I mean, if they walk away with only 2 turnovers in this game like they did against St. Mary's, this game will be close at the end, and it'll be anybody's game. But turnovers are a key thing. And then I think most important is keep the game close. Just keep it in reach, because the more you play, the more. First of all, there is more pressure on Gonzaga in every game they play. But they're also more prepared to deal with that pressure than any other team in the country because they've got a great basketball team. But I think that you keep the game close. It comes down to free throws, and anything can happen. And then, the intangible is 20,000 fans and 8,000 or 9,000 students just going absolutely crazy.
Steve, I said earlier in the program, if BYU, the matchup, I don't think BYU matches up as well as they have in years past per se, but perhaps the emergence of Gavin Baxter, if Connor Harding and Nick Emery can have a good game. Luke Worthington had a good game in Spokane, last year or 2 years ago. What could be a difference maker for BYU? Because if all things are kind of what they are normally, BYU doesn't win this game and it's not close. But how does BYU make it close?
Well, the matchups are difficult. Hachimura and Clark, both 6'8". They are undersized. They're a little undersized. And you think, well, that's to their benefit. Actually, Tilly, who has been playing, I think he's played 6 games since his injury, and he's averaging about 7 points a game. He's 5 for 17 for the 3. So it's not the same Tilly that we saw in the conference tournament last year. I think this is a better team. And I think the matchups are critical. Hachimura and Clark, I mean, you're looking at Baxter and Yoli Childs have to guard one of these guys. That's who they're going to have to guard. And they're going to have to be really smart. And they're going to have to defend and don't allow deep post touches and get stopped. Both of these guys can take it off the bounce. Norvell and Perkins, and especially, I think if Hartnett comes back, I think that's another body to defend. But TJ and Nick and Cannon, they just got to keep them in front of them. The really good thing for BYU is that Gonzaga, as talented as they are, they're not a team that's going north-south and just constantly breaking you off the dribble. They have to do a lot of ball screens. You just got to stay in front of them. So it's not an easy matchup, but it's going to come down to the defensive end. And then the more stops they get, the more noise there is, the more likely that BYU at the offensive end has lots of confidence and knocks shots down.
Coach Steve Cleveland with us on BYU Sports Nation. And, Coach, you talked briefly about the 20,000 fans in the Marriott Center and the Marriott Center Magic and the difference that can make. I see it happen all the time. Transition buckets, turnovers, big three-pointers, lights the roof on fire, and it shakes opponents. Can this arena and the Marriott Center Magic shake a team like Gonzaga that is so experienced and have been in so many different environments?
I don't think this Gonzaga team is going to lose their composure, but they're capable of missing shots. And I think they're so well coached, they're not going to get out of character. But teams, even good teams, can come in and it seems like there's a lid on a basket or there are missed free throws. And you start thinking about the wins that BYU has had in Spokane. Oftentimes it came down to the free throw line. And so I think you talked about the fans. This team does shoot better in the Marriott Center. And I think that Childs and Oz are key to they're more consistent, they're more confident. And when they got to both play well in this game. There's absolutely no question about it. But I don't see a Gonzaga team losing their composure, but they may have a hard time making baskets at times. And when they do, BYU, when they miss, they've got to get rebounds and come down. There's no question in my mind that the fan base, will, and especially the student fan base, will have a huge influence on this game. That being said, Gonzaga's played in a lot. That in the preseason, this is all they do is play in 20,000-seat arenas. I mean, they're not going to get out of who they are. But I do believe in the times that BYU has beaten them, they've missed free throws, they've missed shots. BYU's got the rebound, limited them to one shot, and then someone from BYU. And, you got to figure it's going to be Haas, Childs, someone that's going to have to make big shots and big moments to beat a team like this.
Describe to us, from a coaching perspective, what it's like preparing for a top-5 team when you host them at home. I remember a huge game with Arizona back in the day when you were coaching with BYU. What's it like as you get ready for a game that is bigger than just a game?
You know what? First of all, I think in terms, let's just apply it to this team. They've got a lot of confidence after their last win, but you don't have to do a whole lot to keep them focused and prepared in practice. I mean, everybody's attentive. Nobody's dozing off in film sessions. Everybody's paying attention. You have everybody's full attention. And then that, you talk about, as a coaching staff, you talk about how well you played at home. There's less pressure on BYU than there is on Gonzaga here. In fact, there's really no pressure on BYU. They're expected. There's a 90% chance. Every expert says they're going to lose this game. So they can breathe. They can take something from that, and it's us against the world type thing. But that, I think, key to it all is you're not going to put in a lot of new sets and special quick hitters and schemes. I think you need to instill a confidence defensively and have that game plan. If there's anything you're going to do as a coach, make sure you have a game plan defensively and making with the adjustments. Coach Rose has been great at that, where he goes from man to maybe to zone, does some different things. But that's going to be critical, is that defensive game plan, and then just breathing, be patient, don't be in a hurry, and let the game come to you, and then they put themselves in that position. So it's a lot of it's emotional and mindset, but you don't have to worry about them feeling a great deal of pressure. They should be somewhat relaxed and excited to play.
Coach, BYU 4-1 coming in off of that really solid win over St. Mary's. Gonzaga, of course, have won all 5 of their last 5. Specific to BYU, what do you think the Cougars have been doing better over the course of this nice little recent run, including the win against the Gales?
Well, I think that they have been more patient defensively. They haven't gotten beat off the dribble. You start looking at those statistics, and where they've taken care of the ball, there's not a lot of transition baskets. That's the key to being a really good defensive team. And your offense has a lot to do with that as well. If you're just jacking up threes and there's no rebounding, or you're turning it over, or you're allowing steals, it's hard to do that. But I just defensively, I think Baxter gives them a presence at the rim. There's no question about that. His energy, his enthusiasm. I think if Hartnett comes back, that will help as well. But they're playing with more confidence, and I think that oftentimes it's, if you're at home, and a lot of times it has to do with who you're playing too. A lot of those wins were against teams that BYU was supposed to beat. That's why the St. Mary's win was such a good win for this team's confidence. But they played really solid. They took care of the ball, and they made big plays when they needed to make them, and they got stops. And whoever thought that St. Mary's, who always takes care of the ball, would turn the ball over and lose their poise and character. But that's what happened, and BYU had a lot to do with that.
We told you he had all the answers.
He has all the answers. I love it.
Be physical, be aggressive, take care of the ball, Coach. Great stuff. I know you're looking forward to the game, so are we. We'll talk to you again soon.
Take care, guys. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Steve.